Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa White as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Hello, disruptors, and welcome back to another amazing episode of Mindset Mastery Moments. And today I want you to buckle up because we are diving straight into the truth about confidence, identity, and the pressure that so many high achievers carry on their backs. My guest today is someone who embodies resilience, leadership, authenticity at the highest level. She's an international speaker, award-winning author, TEDx powerhouse, co-host of a globally ranked podcast with her daughter, and a woman who literally climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. You all know I use those words and analogies a lot on this podcast. So to have someone who literally did it, y'all know I'm geeked out. Just because she refused to let fear decide who she is, she climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Talk about a BA. And it's not a bachelor's of arts. Simone Knego is here, and trust me, this is about to be a masterclass in becoming the most unshakable version of yourself. So buckle up, pass this on to someone, and maybe you can even rally around this conversation, have a conversation after this conversation. Simone is a best-selling author extraordinary of the book Extraordinary, Unordinary. With her next book, called Real Confidence, that is dropping in February 2026. Her work has been featured on ABC, NBC, CBS, Entrepreneur, Yahoo News, and her real method is helping high achievers move from pressure to purpose. And on top of that, she runs a house with 6 kids, 3 dogs, and 1 husband, still standing after 32 years. Is the real deal. Simone, welcome to the show. I'm so thrilled that you're here. Tell us who you are, what you do, why you do it in your very own words, because my bio is just a tip of what you do. So we can learn more.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So yes, first and foremost, I am the mom of 6 kids. Been married for 32 years. Started off my career as an accountant. I have a bachelor's and master's in accounting. I have a CPA. And decided that wasn't for me. I'm a big believer in it's okay to change your mind. Yeah. So I've done many things in my life, but what I love is helping women. Helping women break through the mindsets that they've had for so long. It's all about realizing what you're capable of. And yes, I wrote my first book in 2020, perfect timing. And then my second book comes out in February, which I'm really excited about. One of my favorite things that I do is host the podcast, Her Unshakable Confidence, with my daughter, because it's funny when I tell someone about it, they're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Your daughter wants to talk to you." It's like, yes, she does actually. Yes, and we bear it all on there. So yeah, it's been a really great experience. But that's a little bit more about me.
Yeah, it's just so awesome. So here's the thing. I have to start. Obviously, you said you had 6 kids. That is amazing. I would tell you, as a woman, I always wanted a house full of kids. I didn't necessarily want to give birth to all of them, but I wanted a house full of kids. You have 3 dogs, so there are kids too. So I'm just counting. That's like having 9 kids, except for 3 of them. They don't ever truly grow up. And then Kilimanjaro. Simone, ma'am, where do you even begin? What drives a to step into challenges like that on purpose, with purpose?
So the Kilimanjaro story, and first, when we talk about my kids, we actually adopted our youngest 3 kids. So there you go.
I've seen pictures of your beautiful family, so I know that too.
Thank you. Thank you. So Kilimanjaro, it's interesting because it was something I struggled with self-doubt for the majority of my life. I'm 53 years old. I climbed Kilimanjaro 10 years ago.
Wait. Hold up, swole up. Let's address the elephant in that sentence. She's sitting here. So if you all are listening, switch over real quick to the YouTube channel and see this woman. She dropped 53 and just slid on. And I'm like, 50 who? But then when you look at her daughter and you look at her kids, you're like, Yeah, it makes sense, but it doesn't. Like, I know I could see it, but then when I look at her, she looks like she's in her 30s. No joke. So
Yes.
whatever she's about to drop on this podcast, she's gonna tell us which fountain she's drinking from because we want some of that. So I'm
Can I
sorry.
come back next week?
You need another. Listen, I want to know what your skin routine is and what are you eating, what your diet looks like, because I know you're managing everything. If you have, how do you have 6 kids and 3 dogs? And let's not forget a whole husband and look this fabulous. But we'll unpack that later. I'm just pointing out the obvious, but I don't think you know, girl. I honestly would have given you 35 if I didn't know you had these children and you were married for same age I think you are. So you couldn't be born when you got married, but still it doesn't make sense. So go ahead. You can tell your story now.
Thank you.
I'm not saying anything nobody else can't see. I'm like, y'all go over there and see what she looks like and tell me where 50.
Thank you. So, I was someone that struggled for the majority of my life with self-doubt. I actually had an abusive boyfriend in high school, and I didn't really deal with it at the time. Stuffed it down. I dated him for 3 years, and it was bad. And my husband knew about it. My kids know about it, but it wasn't something I talked about, with other people because there's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. There was so much behind it. And so that really led to my cycle of never thinking I was enough because of a lot of the things that he said to me. So I was really kind of stuck in that zone of didn't matter what I did, didn't matter that I had 6 kids. I really didn't feel like I was making a difference in the world. I called myself the yes girl. Like I would say yes to everything, trying to make other people happy, trying to like fill that part of me that was kind of missing. And Kilimanjaro came at a time where a friend of ours had climbed it the year before, and he actually called my husband and said, "Would you like to climb?" And my husband said, "Yeah, no, thank you. Call Simone." And he did. He called me, and I said yes because I realized I really needed to get out of my comfort zone. I felt stuck for so long, and nobody knew. Like everybody from the outside, I had this great facade up, so everybody thought that everything was perfect in my life, and it doesn't work that way. And so I said yes, and I can tell you that it completely changed my life.
Wow. So, is there like, I'm just curious, is there like a whole prep class for weeks, months before you actually climb? Were you climbing mountains already? Did you live in Arizona?
Oh
What's
my
going on?
gosh. No, I live in Florida. I've
You
gone
do?
camping. I do. I live at sea level. I've gone camping a couple times in my life. I didn't even own a sleeping bag. I had to borrow one from a friend because I was like, I'm not going to invest in that. I'll never use it again in Florida.
Right?
Yeah. So no, I had never climbed anything before. And when I signed up, I had 6 months to train. So basically I worked out every single day, wore this elevation training mask when I worked out. So it looks like a gorilla face. It has these little valves on the side that you can adjust to. It doesn't affect like oxygen, but your lung capacity it does. So it's basically by the end, as soon as you change the valve up to the highest one, it's like you're breathing out of a straw. So I would wear that while I was working out. And it worked really well because I was able to hold my breath for 2 minutes before I went on this trip. And I could think I can hold my breath for like 15 seconds right now. So, it made a big difference in my training. Embarrassed the heck out of my kids because, it was a mask with a gorilla face on it. So I would wear it when I was like, we have one hill in Sarasota, we have a bridge. And so I would do the bridge with my pack and my boots and my mask on. And the kids were like, oh my gosh, we're not going anywhere near you. But it worked. And,
Yeah.
I literally worked out every single day and, got myself into the best shape I could.
Right. So there are some requirements in training. So, okay, now I know my goal is to climb it by the time I'm 50. I do live in Arizona, so it would be a great place to start if I would
Yes.
just go mountain climbing. I haven't gone once in the 7.5 years I've lived here. What a shame, but I'm going to do it because that's the goal. Because I always talk about Mount Kilimanjaro. Like I compare it to everything. And I always think about it as an analogy of life. It's like, life can feel like Mount Kilimanjaro. And what we don't realize is that all the things that are happening just helps you become a better climber, is what I say, right? So let's go right to the juggler because my listeners love real talk just as much as you do and your listeners do. So, what's the biggest lie high achieving women tell themselves about confidence?
That it's something everybody else has and they just don't. because confidence is a skill. It's a skill that you build like any other skill, like working out, going to the gym, learning a new language. Like these are all things you have to work towards. It doesn't just happen automatically. You have to work. And I
Right.
think a lot of people think that it's made for someone else and not for them.
Whoa. And so women, no different from anyone else. This is something that, because I've just had a conversation earlier today with a very close relative of mine, and we were talking about the unique struggles and how we what our traumas look like. We were talking about our own personal shared trauma and other people that were involved around it. And we realized that the women through the experience, we have a little bit of a different perspective than that of a male. Is there anything with you being more specific about working with women that when it comes to helping them shift from this particular lie and the other ones that we tell ourselves, the other limiting beliefs, do you think that women deal with this and process this differently or even seek out healing and reframing differently from males?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that how we move forward, how we approach anything is very different. I mean, if you look at statistics, it's, for example, applying for a job, right? Men will apply when they have 60% of the qualifications, women when they have 100%. So women are already overqualified for the jobs that they're applying for, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that to me, it's like, okay, girl, you have so much power. Take a step back. Do the things you think you can't, right? And
Exactly.
and it's really how we talk to ourselves is so important. And we can't say, "Oh, this is a man's world. I don't deserve to be in it." Oh, that is not true at all.
The
So,
song
but
itself
we,
says it's a man world, but it's nothing without a woman or a girl.
well, I mean, think about it. Like the world wouldn't exist if it weren't for women. So,
Come on,
there you go.
period. We literally run the world. And I was having this conversation with a male colleague of mine just last night. And he's like, when everything is going down, who's really in charge? I said, it's women. We're always been in charge. And I think when Beyonce said, who run the world, the girls, except what I would love to always think about, and this is leading into the empowerment piece, is that because we really do run the world, then we can really change the world. I hate to say it, we don't need anyone to prove it. If we change our own world, then we're able to affect that same change. So tell us, when you speak about women's empowerment, Simone, what do you mean by that? What does it mean, and what is your path to clearing a space where women are empowered? How do you do it?
So, there's two things that I really talk about in my keynotes. One is um, the real method for building confidence, and
Mhm.
it stands for respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And
Mm.
the reason thanks. The reason I start with respect is because as a child, I remember being taught to respect my elders, my peers, but never once do I remember being taught that the most important person to respect is yourself. And we
Mm.
have to start there. A lot of times we talk about demanding respect, right? Well,
Mhm.
no, you don't need to demand it. You need to demonstrate it, right? You need to show your self respect so other people understand what they're up
Mhm.
against. Like,
Mhm.
set those boundaries, take care of yourself, do all the things for you, and the respect from other people will follow. Not that we even, that external validation we don't need, but we need to treat ourselves in a way that we would treat our best friend, right? So
Yes.
you're not going to say horrible things to your best friend. Why would you say them to yourself? Right?
Come
You have to live
on.
with yourself forever.
Exactly. Right. And if it's going to be, it's up to you. Right. And I love that. So tell us, when it comes to the definition of women's empowerment in 2025, what does that mean to you?
It means that you walk into any room, doesn't matter who you're with, doesn't matter who's in the room, you belong in the room, and
Mm,
your voice needs to be heard.
mm,
So, a lot of times there's like crazy statistics about like if there's 10 people in the room, three of the people do 70% of the talking. So most people sit there silently. It doesn't matter if they have great ideas or not, but they're not saying the words because they don't believe in themselves. And
mm,
so other than my real method, the second thing I wanted to bring up is it's the idea of kitchen table leadership, So often when we think about leadership, we think about the boardroom, we think about the title, we think about the corner office, but leadership is the everyday moments. It's what
Come on.
happens behind the scenes. It's what happens in the messy moments. And we've been sold this narrow view. And what we need to realize is every decision we make is a leadership decision. And
Come
so
on.
much of what we do starts around the kitchen table.
That's right. The kitchen. I love that. And that's my approach to leadership. And that's why I always say a lot of times when people invite me to speak on leadership, I usually question what it is they really want because I'm like, I might not be your speaker. Because while you
Hmm.
might think I'm coming here to tell people they're not listening to their leaders, and they should, or they should be a better person, a person who leads their team better, first lead yourself and understand I say the lower bowels of leadership, which is, I always say there's a leader in a ship, and the leader comes before they even get in the ship. And that leader is you. So we have to get you in alignment with you so you can lead these people. So you have to be in alignment with purpose. You have to be in alignment with why you're here, what you're here for in that particular situation of people you're growing. Because I'm a leader when I'm with my partner, I'm a leader with the kids, I'm a leader when I'm just alone by myself because the decisions I make in my business for my business will impact people. If I say the wrong things on this podcast, and I guess not the wrong things, but if I give certain suggestions, I mean, yes, people are like, okay, so you're speaking to the masses, but when I'm here right now, it's just you and I. We're not thinking, we know this is going to go out to thousands of people or whatever over time, but right now it's just us. So we can get really comfortable and say whatever. That's the accountability and ownership of what I do and how I govern myself and show up in this conversation affects all the people that will listen later. It could be a 15-year-old who now thinks that women are the boss of everything and so no one can tell us what to do. That would be something I'm accountable for. So how do we separate women's empowerment from the negative connotation of feminism? If you want to
Mm,
tackle that before we get into identity.
sure. Yeah. I mean, I would say that there's a little bit of an overlap, but the negative identity of feminism is that it's women above all else, right? And what empowerment is, it's women with everyone else. Like we're all in there together. And
Yes.
that's really the way I see it. No, I don't ever walk into to a room and think, "Oh, I'm better than everybody here," right? I walk into a room and say, I am as good as everyone
Mhm.
else in here.
Mhm.
And for me, that's a completely different statement. So I'm not leading with ego, right? I'm
Right.
leading with reality. Like the reality is that I deserve to be here.
Right. And everyone else deserves to be here. I'm going to be, everything that I do here is not only going to be beneficial for me, but it's going to be beneficial for everyone. And everyone, what they're doing, I'm going to ensure that I find benefit in it for myself as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to be discredited or discounted. And the reason why, as women, we have to step into that space and put that on, I see not as an armor, right? Because it can be an armor or it can be a part of our garment, right? Armor means you're going into battlefield, which still sorts of affects your thinking. But when it becomes what you wear, it's your clothes. It is a part of you. It is a part of how you show up. It's just natural. When we put clothes on, when we put on a jacket, or a sweater, and some shoes, these are pieces and parts that we have to go. We're not going out without being dressed. So if you're dressing in that level of confidence and that awareness of I am no less, no greater than, but I belong here. And
Hmm.
I'm here. It's very, very different. What people say, that's my armor. I'm like, there are times we need an armor, but I don't want you to feel that you're right to be here, to be seen, to be heard, and matter is an armor because that's not something you should be fighting for. And if you are mentally, then you will be in fights. So then you'll go in the room. If it's an armor, you'll go in the room fighting for your right to be there. I want you to comment on that really quick. If you got what I'm trying to put down, I'm pretty sure you have
Yeah.
another way of adding to that too.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. My mom grew up in rural Pennsylvania. Her mother had a sixth grade education. Her dad worked in the coal mines. In
Mm-hmm.
10th grade, she walked into a building that she thought was a church. It was actually the public library. She had no idea a world like that existed. It completely changed her life. She, started reading all the pages. And she's 86. She still reads all the pages now. But
Wow.
she ended up moving in with another family to help raise their kids and save money. And in 1957, she was admitted to the University of Pittsburgh. She worked 3 jobs while she was in college. And in 1961, she was admitted to the University of Pittsburgh Medical School. There were
Mm,
120 people in her class, 5 of them were women. For my mom, it was walking in with armor because
right.
she was constantly told out loud that she didn't deserve to be there. That
Mm-hmm.
she actually told me this the other day, that she had men say, "You took up a man's spot. That isn't right." Right. And so, but
That actually
fast
happened.
forward, right? That was in 1961. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're now in 2025. Like,
Right.
we have to have the mindset that we deserve to be in the room. We
Right.
shouldn't go in there with armor, because the way our decisions will happen, they're going to be based on negativity, right? So, like, when we go
Right.
in there already expecting something to be bad, guess what?
It's
It's
going
going
to
to be
be bad.
bad.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But women like your grandma already paid the price.
Mm, yeah.
That's what I always say. They already paid the price of where the armor needed to be worn, and we need to bring out our shields and our swords all at the same time. But in this 2025 fast forward, we're encouraging the women to walk in with, as it's part of your garment, it's part of your attire. It's just who you are, because we've already
Who
won
you
that.
are.
We won that war. So teach us, you talk and you teach people about rewriting their story, which is something I'm very passionate about. Rewriting a story that they tell themselves. When did you have to rewrite your own story because the old one didn't fit anymore?
Yeah. So that's interesting because it all it all kind of comes back to Kilimanjaro, but there was an event before Kilimanjaro that really kind of made me rethink what I was doing, how I was showing up. I was at this women's event, and they showed this video, Colby Calais' Try. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but basically the women in the video are like taking off their makeup, taking, kind of peeling back all the
She's one
layers.
of my favorite
And
artists, by the way.
yeah,
She's one of my
yeah,
girl power favorites. She's on my playlist
yeah.
for that. Yeah.
And so before that moment, my friends, the way they saw me, because I
Mm-hmm.
had this facade up, was that I'm super strong. I have it all together. I never cry. Like, I have to have it together. I have 6 children, right? Like, that was the assumption, that I was super confident, and it was all a facade. And so this video comes on, and I literally start crying. And my friends did not know what to do with me, because they were like, "No, you're the strong one. Like, you can't do this, right?"
Hmm.
And that was a moment where I said, "Why am I telling a story that's not real? Like, this is not me." The idea of having to be strong all the time and that I have it all together. Like, I don't.
Yes.
I'm human,
Yeah.
and I'm really struggling, and I need people to understand that. So that was the beginning of understanding that I needed to rewrite my story.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And that is the level of vulnerability that is required to lead. That is a level. That's when you stepped into your power, your next level. I call it that next level superpower, because when you're able to be vulnerable and still stand in strength, to me, that is the real superpower. That's when you become a how do I say, superwoman in if there was such a
Mm,
thing, right? So you've been in front of millions, TVs, TEDx stages, Google platforms. But who is Simone when the cameras are off? And that's again not vulnerable. What is the identity you had to fight for after that moment?
yeah. I mean, I wanted to be able to be myself, to be real about who I was, and not to constantly be pretending. I mean, my identity is that I am human, right? I am a mom, a wife, right? And I have emotions, and I need to be
Mm-hmm.
able to show them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that voice inside my head. I call it the what if whisperer, that likes to
Mm,
question if
mm,
I'm enough. Like, what if you fail? What if they don't like you? What if you
mm-hmm.
shouldn't be here?
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding that we all have some kind of struggle, I think that was huge for me, because I always looked at it, it's like, oh, I'm the only one that struggles. They have a perfect life. Okay. Nobody has a perfect life. Everybody has some sort of struggle. I mean, that's reality. So being able to share that this is who I am and no
Mm-hmm.
longer pretend to be something else I think has been huge for me.
So, how do you coach women or speak with women or to women who were very much perceived to be where many of your friends, or if not all of them, thought you were, but they're trying to keep up right now with the facade? How do you walk them through allowing themselves the space to be seen as themselves and still stand in their power at the same time? What are your
Yeah.
steps to that?
So it goes back to step one is really about rewriting your story. So
Mm.
I have my little mindset hack that I like to do. I call it Control Alt Delete. So back in the day,
Yeah,
that's how we would unfreeze a frozen computer. Now, if you hit Control Alt Delete, it brings up Task Manager. So don't compare it
I
to the
know.
Task Manager, but
We're
but
still a
the
little bit old
three
school over
keys.
here.
Okay, good. So but our minds freeze too, right? We spiral in self doubt. We get caught in the comparison game. And we get that what if whisperer. I
Mhm.
actually have named my what if whisperer Sally Fine, freaked out,
Yes.
insecure, neurotic, and emotional. You gotta make it fun, you know?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
freaked out, insecure,
Yes.
neurotic, and emotional. And
Yes.
so control is about awareness, right? I mean,
Mm.
I'm not telling you you can control the thoughts that are coming into your brain, but you can control what you do with them, right? You can say to yourself, is this real? Is this helpful? What story is running my day? The second part
Mhm.
is alt, which is alternative. Tell yourself a better story, right? You have a
Mhm.
choice. When you look in the mirror, you can choose to say, I'm amazing. Or you can say, I suck, right? Like, which one do you want to do? Which one do you want to do? So instead of, I can't, how about I can? Instead of, what if I fail? How about when I succeed? And
Yes.
finally, delete.
Or
Delete the things that no longer serve you. Delete the comparison game. Delete the apology. Delete the idea that you need to wait until you feel ready.
mm,
And I love to say this because I love this analogy of waiting until you feel ready is like waiting for IKEA instructions to actually make sense. It is not going to happen. You
I
have to
love
do
it.
it. You have to do it.
Yes.
So, so like I start there. I start there with because it really gets you thinking. It's that awareness piece. Like, wait, what am I telling myself? What
Mhm.
is the story I'm sharing with the world, and is it real? And most of the time,
Mhm.
the answer is no. And I think for me, so often when I've shared anything and I've been vulnerable is where I've gotten the biggest response in
Mhm.
terms of like, wait, from the person listening, I'm not alone, right? So we don't like to share that because it's scary, but that's where growth happens, right? When you get
Yes.
uncomfortable, that's where growth happens.
Yes, that's it. That's the growth space. Everywhere else is a comfort zone. Let's talk about your keystone habits because confidence is built, not wished for. What habit changed your life and what did it cost you to protect it, that habit along your journey? Because I have a few of those that I've changed a lot of habits over time, and some of them I have to fight to protect them.
Yeah. So the biggest habit that has changed my life is positive affirmations. And I would have told you, I say 10 years ago, but probably 12 years ago, that that doesn't work. Come on, that's ridiculous. Like, they're just words, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was so wrong. And I mean, there's so much science behind it too. So it's not me saying that, but there's so much science behind it. The way you talk to yourself matters. And again, you have a choice of what you say to yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I start my day every day with positive affirmations. My kids call it mirror moments. They're like, oh, look, she's talking to herself again. But as they get older, I see them doing it as well
Yes.
because they get it. They're like, oh, look at how much mom has changed, right? This really works. So that's the biggest thing. And, when I'm coaching women and they're like, oh, yeah, I tried that once. It didn't work. I was like, wait, you tried it once? Like one time?
Do
I was
you
like,
go to
okay,
work
did you go
one
to,
time and get paid for the rest of your life?
yeah. Do you go to the gym one time and become super buff? No, it doesn't happen, right?
Come
It's
on.
a skill you have to build, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it requires constant work. And I'd like to name one more if I
Yeah,
can, which is
sure. Absolutely.
self-care. Self-care.
Come
Because as a
on.
mom of 6, I did everything for everybody, right? I
Mhm.
everything had to be just, I was the brownie troop leader and I was the Girl Scout leader. And, I did all of the things. I'd pick up everybody else's kids from school and I'm like, where am I going to put them? But I didn't really think about how important it was to take care of myself. And that was actually a Kilimanjaro moment where I had people say to me, well, two things they said, which were both ridiculous, but don't you think it's selfish that you're going to leave your family at home and you're going to go climb a mountain? And I said, okay, well, self-care is never selfish, first of all. And they're like, oh, but you have the most amazing husband. He's going to take care of your kids while you're gone. I was like, wait, no, there are kids. And yes, he is amazing. I know. I was like, why is he getting kudos? I was like, hello, I do this every day. But I didn't do the self-care piece for a really long time. Whatever self-care looks like to you, you have to schedule it. You have to put it on the calendar so that you make it happen.
The thing I tell people, what looks like selfishness is really selffulness. And when you're full, you're able to pour better for the people that you love and care about. Period.
I love that.
Period.
I love that.
Yeah. So you seem like someone who definitely have mastered small win. What's one small win every woman should start scoring daily?
Yeah, that's a great question. Any accomplishments you have, like anything, right? Like, so I make a list. Like, and my life hack is I make a list on a pink piece of paper because that way I won't lose it. If it's a white piece of paper, forget it. It gets stuck in everything. So pink piece of paper. And as soon as I check it off the list, I'm like, that was a win. I got that done today. It's huge. And you know what else I do? Try pink. You're going to love pink.
I'm going to try that now. I'm going to get purple. That's going to be even more fun.
But what I also do is if there's something that's not on my list and I accomplish it, I write it on my list and then I check it off.
I thought I was... I remember the first time I had this voice in my head. I should name her. She was like, that's cheating because you didn't have that on your list, but I won. People, because remember, life has plans. I have my plan. Life has plans, and I have to get it done. Yeah, if I accomplish it, it's going on the list. And if it's something that I need to do, it's going on the list too. Why does my inner critic not try to convince me that adding the new thing that someone just invited me or asked me to do, it's not a problem for me to put that, but the one that I won just being me shouldn't go on the list. I'm like, inner critic, you kind of suck, girl.
Yeah. Sally Fine, let me tell you. Sally.
I love the concept. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to have one day. So let's talk about, the going back a little bit to the Kilimanjaro story. I get the sense that the mental mountains were harder. So what mindset shifted for you on Kilimanjaro that you've never let go of?
That I can accomplish anything I want to as long as I put in the work. And the big underscore there is that I want to, right? Because there are all these expectations out there in the world. But what do I actually want? And that's what's really important, is really taking that step back and saying, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to put in the work to do it.
Well, I love it. The big part, because a lot of people say you're kind of taking, I've heard some people, and this is more in the positive psychology, I call it the semi-toxic positive psychology is what I call it.
Yeah.
When they say, if you put in the work, you're taking away from yourself. Well, no, you got to put the work in. But I love the piece that you add, and I think that's going to be more. I haven't heard anyone add it, Simone, as much. And I'm saying I haven't heard, and I've talked to so many people, and I do it so many people on a regular basis. Of course, we always add the put in the work in the thought leadership space. But you said, if I want to. And in my work, I talk about commitment and consistency, because I feel it's one of the two words that are subtracted a lot from the word success. No matter what your definition of success is, a lot of that is tied into the choice and the commitment, and you showing up over time when it's hard, when you don't want to, when it's not convenient, when everything else says not today. Not ever. So talk to us, speaking to us, especially women, about what that choosing to looks like. Give us the inside scoop and the how to, because you've mastered it, obviously.
Thank you. I've mastered it. The asking yourself what you want, I think, is so important. I think so often we go through our lives and we're just doing for everybody else, right? Do you actually want this? Do you want this career? Do you want the promotion? Like, you have to think about what comes along with things. I was on a call the other day, and this other speaker was talking about that I usually sell like this gold package, but then I offer the platinum one to them and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll do that." And she's like, "I did not think about how much work was going to have to go into that." She's like, "I do not want this and I've already offered it." So I think
Mm,
it's really thinking about
mm,
how you want to move forward. When we talk about anything in our lives, when we look back to when we were kids, right? We all had a dream. We all had something that we wanted. I wanted to be an actress, right? That didn't happen, but I'm doing things along that realm now, right? With speaking and podcasting. But I think
mm-hmm.
we have to take a look back and at our childhood selves and say, what was that dream? What did we really want? Because that child still exists inside of you. So I'm not saying go quit your job, but what I'm saying is that there are ways to fill your cup and take a step back and say, is this really serving me or am I
Mm,
serving it?
come on.
And yeah, so that question is the hardest question to answer. What do I want? Okay, make
Mm-hmm,
a list. Write down
mm-hmm,
the things that you're really good at. Write down the things that you've always enjoyed. Write down a list of things that really scare you, right? And
mm,
it's the combination of those things that kind of put it all together, right?
yes.
I have a big fear of spiders. That's like my biggest fear. My daughter's fear is gorillas. And I was like, why are you scared of gorillas? It's not like you've ever hung out with a gorilla. She was like, I don't know. It's irrational, but I'm scared of them. So I'm like, okay, we're going to go take a trip to Rwanda and you are going to be with a gorilla. She's like, oh, I don't think I can do it. I was like, oh, yes, you can. So that's on the list of things to do. But,
I love it.
it's about that comfort zone because staying in your comfort zone is actually very uncomfortable because you're
Come
not
on.
doing anything good there, right? Like you're just there. So I think that's huge. And one more thing that I want to add is when we talk about the power of words, how we talk about ourselves is so important. Not just how we talk to ourselves, but when we tell people about ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
for years, I would say things like, I'm just a stay at home mom. I'm just Rob's wife. I'm just a volunteer, justifying my existence, right? Like, why am I putting that word just in front of who I am and what I do, right?
Right.
Stand in
That's
my
right.
power and say,
It's
this
okay
is
to
who I
say I
am.
am an amazing mother of 6 children that are ages blah blah blah. And I mean, the thing is connecting to what amazing means for you
Mm-hmm.
and be unapologetic.
100%, right? Again, delete the apology.
Delete the apology. I want to piggyback and bring you back to full circle where you started. My goodness, that's just popped into my head and it just slipped out. But in addition to what we just chatted about, I would love for you to write some permission slips because a lot of us, particularly women, think it's a midlife crisis to change our minds, change our careers, change how we do things. I say our modus operandi. Because number one, we're afraid to make people feel like we don't know what we want. We're afraid to disrupt the lives of our families and what people are used to and how comfortable they are with us, which I say they don't really care as much as you think you do. Watch this. But can you write permission slips to the women, particularly, or any individual, as a matter of fact, who may be listening to us, that says change is hard, it's probably not possible, and if I do it, it's going to blow everything up. Talk to us.
Yeah. No, permission to be yourself, permission to actually follow what you really care about,
Mm,
permission to, we're supposed to know what we want to do for the rest of our lives when we're 18 years old. I mean,
it's not.
that's ridiculous, right?
Come on.
Permission to start something midlife, right? Why can you only start something when you're 18 or you're 20 something? Why can't you start something when you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s? There are a ton of people that do that,
Yes.
right? So,
Yes.
and don't, again, permission not to listen to what anybody else thinks, right?
Come
And you're not
on.
going to blow yourself up. You're not going to blow yourself up. there are so many things you can do now. Like you can make a career out of almost anything. If you would have told me 10 years ago that you could make millions of dollars by posting videos on TikTok, right?
I
TikTok
feel
didn't
like you're
exist, but like, yeah, yes. But you can, if there's something you're passionate about, it could turn into a career. First, it might be a side hustle, but let yourself explore to
mm-hmm,
see what you really want.
mm-hmm.
And again, don't worry about what anybody else thinks. If I still worried about what anybody else was thinking, I would be sitting on my couch and taking a nap right now. I don't even nap, but I wouldn't have
You
done
would, because your
any of the
kids are
things I've
grownish. Yeah. Your kids are grownish
yeah,
now, all of them.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, you have to give yourself permission. The permission comes from you. It doesn't come from anybody else.
Come on. Come on. And the fact that what I said, I heard myself say, and people don't care that much. I really mean that. They actually, in the moment of you making these changes in your life, they think they care way more than they actually do. Like within 9 days, they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, Simone, yeah, I don't know, she went crazy or whatever, but it's fine. She'll figure it out." That's literally what most people are
Yes.
thinking. You're an adult. They're an adult. They got their whole life that they're living. They can't. They can't. It's not that they're not being nice. Humans, we can't care that long about what someone chooses to do with their life. We don't have the capability. So even when you think about it, and then now when you're actually winning at the thing they doubted, you're like, I knew you could do it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Stop lying. And in my mind, what I've learned though, the reality is they're not. They actually believed I was more capable of making that change and honing in and mastering it way more than I did. Strange enough, because they can see my track record better than I would ever see my track record, because we tend, like you said, justify our existence. They know that when Simone says she's going to go to Mount Kilimanjaro, she will, because they've seen her say, I'm going to marry this man. I'm going to be committed to him. She did that. I have this job and I'm committed to it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my first home. She's done it. They are actually tallying your track record of committing and excelling way better than you are. So yeah, they actually believe you were doing it. They just thought it was a bad idea, and that's why they were trying to talk you out of it. And a lot of time underneath that is that they have a thing that they want to do that seems radical to them, and they are not brave enough to change it. It's scary. So the fear that they're kind of imposing on you is the fear that they're experiencing about the thing they want to change or adjust or pivot in their life. And they're like, they have already thought that they would fail at it, just like you might be questioning. So they're imposing that. It's a whole psychology behind it. This is why I said, do not attach yourself to what people think. I learned that I have to tell you what would be the hard way, because I wanted to keep everybody in my life happy. And I suffered for years doing a thing. And when I made the decision to not do the thing, a bunch of people flipped out. And then it turns out they're like, you should have done that so long ago. And I'm like, what sort of confusion is this? And that's when I'm like, nope, don't care what nobody thinks. I will listen to what they think, take what I need, that I just intuitively I needed to hear that, but all that other stuff just going in the trash. That might be for someone else, but not for me. Or maybe I'm not ready for that right now. Right now I needed this, so I'm going to take that and use it. And maybe later I might be able to hear the rest of it. So, I mean, just weigh into that before we go into flip the script. But that's just my thought process. People don't care as much as we think they do.
Yeah, I think we worry about it so often. I mean, I want to say two things to it. First of all, I 100% agree with you. When someone says to you, like, for example, when I climb Kilimanjaro, do you really think you're going to make it to the top? No, I think I'm going to make it halfway. That's why I'm doing it. Thanks for your support, right? So, but I believe when people say stuff like that, it's because they can't see themselves accomplishing it. So therefore, they can't see you doing it, right? So I completely agree with what you said before on that. And then the thing about people aren't thinking about you, right? So I remember once saying I sent an email and I was like, okay, why haven't I gotten a response? Why haven't I gotten a response? I said to my husband, I was like, I'm really worried. Like, did I offend them? He goes, Simone, they're not thinking about you. Like, stop worrying about it. They are not thinking about you. And, 2 days later, I got a response. Oh, sorry for the delay. I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. They're not thinking about me. Like, focus is this one thing. And they have 50 things they're doing, right? And so
or they have their one thing they're focused on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see it as like, oh gosh, they must not like me anymore, or I did something wrong. And I don't see it like that anymore. But that was like a
Right.
big
That was
eye-opening
where
moment
you
for
go.
me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That helped you flip the script. And I mean, I always say my divorce finalized it for me. When I went through my separation and divorce, my ex-husband and I made the decision and nobody liked it. But I don't remember seeing them there when we were trying to figure out what that really looked like. And a lot of them were like, "Yeah, you guys made the right decision. That was not working." I'm like, "What? Are you guys crazy? You guys didn't like it, but now you love it for us? Like, God, this is crazy." And I was like, you know what? I really honed in and realized it's you, it's not them. You put too much value on what people
Hmm.
think and on their response, not understanding it's flipped. Because when it comes to you and what's important to you, they're only thinking about you that much when they're in the moment with you. And they're only going off of the limited view that you give them and the limited information that you give them now filtered through their perception of their own existence and now yours. So how can you depend on that? That's not reliable. I guess maybe it's the scientist in me that wants facts, data that says this data is poor. This is the most unreliable data you could ever make a decision off of.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for sure. And it is kind of crazy when you think about like how much we're waiting for someone else to say, "Oh yeah, that's okay." Like I approve, right? We don't need external validation, right? If we're doing the things that we care about that and we're not like ruining the world, right? If we're being
right.
good in the world, then why does anybody else's opinion matter?
Right.
Just
And they
doesn't.
always align. The right people always align. Oh my goodness, man. I'm telling you, when it comes to identity, that is the work right there. Like you really, because when you confidence and identity, that's it. Like a lot of times we want to go over the other parts of it, but at the core is that confidence in your decision making process is one, the boundaries, two, protecting it, protecting the sanctity and the right that you have to claim your life and navigate your life according to what you honestly, you're the only one who really knows your blueprint. And a lot of times what I'm saying, you're receiving information on that blueprint as you go. So why, you can't even truly trust the voices in your head. Why listen to other people? Simone, oh my God, let's go to our important part. Like, this is my favorite part because I know you've shared so many. You have flipped your script all throughout this conversation. So it's kind of technical to come in and be like, okay, can you give us one more? Because there's so much breakthrough in every one of your own personal stories. Everyday leaders has that moment when they are shaken, stretched, pressed, or even forced to transform. What is, I would say, in your most recent time, like in the last few days, I would bring it back up to, right? Because we've gone back to some of your other big stories, those moments that would bring you to where you just literally just had a flip in your script and it's changing how you do and how you are being right now.
I would say probably actually not work related, but family related
Mm-hmm.
with my youngest daughter. And she's always been very independent. And with the other kids, I'm the first phone call, right? Mom, can you help with this? Mom, can you help with that? And she does it on her own. And I have to remind myself with her not to be pushing my thoughts on her. So she's she's applying for colleges right now. And I'm like, did you
Mm,
get this done? Did you get this done? And I was like, why am I doing this? Right? This needs to be her coming to me if she needs help. If she's not coming to me, then she's got it. Like she's got it. But I
wow.
have it in my head that I have to control the situation. No, I don't need to control the situation. Like she can do things for herself and I need to stop being so worried that what's the worst that's going to happen, right? Okay, if she doesn't get into that school, then oh well, like she'll get in somewhere else. I'm not, but I like to get all up in my head and say, "Oh, you have to control this." And, I don't need to. I need to remind myself I don't need to control everything or anything, right? I really don't have the control.
My gosh, there's so much power in that vulnerable moment that so many of us women can really, I think a lot of times we need to step back and do exactly what you did. I'm doing too much. Like I've had moments in conversations of me talking to, and it's funny because when it comes to my clients and in my professional life, I've seemed to be in a space of mastery with it. It's like, okay, they're not ready. Don't push. And sometimes they want me to push them. I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want me to take you there, it will hurt you more than it would elevate you or help you propel in this process. So let's just bite this for now. And they're like, you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, I trust you. But when it comes to people that I love dearly, I find myself showing up and like, you need this, so let me get it ready because they're not going to do it. And I'm just overly doing it and they never learned. So next time I have to do it. And then resentment comes up because I'm like, I'm always picking up this. And then I realize, girl, who asked you?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They didn't ask you. Let them. And that's why I love Mel Robbins, bringing back the let them theory. And a lot of times she does it differently, but this is where I'm giving permission to let them figure it out. Not in
Mm-hmm.
like to protect myself, but to restrict myself from impeding on their journey to learn and grow. And I thank you so much for that because that's a reminder for me. And I believe everyone else who's listening to just literally just let people figure it out and invite you into that space. Yes, there's an open invitation with your children. You have to pay for some of her college and
Yes.
obviously
Yes.
there's an open invitation. But if she didn't invite you in this specific part, maybe she didn't think whether she should be inviting you and all, but her figuring it out is always going to be the biggest win for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I'm learning. I'm a work in progress, right?
We are, and it's moment by moment. That's why I call this mindset mastery moment, because I really believe you're mastering your mind, you're mastering your life, you're mastering the outcomes in your life moment by moment. And if you just take it like that, one bite at a time, you're easy on yourself, but while being consistent with yourself at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. What's the next big thing for you, and what's stepping into that? What version of Simone needs to come forward for you to achieve that?
So my second book comes out in February, and so that's a big deal, right? That is all based on my real method, so,
Mm,
real confidence, a simple guide to go from unsure to unshakable. And I want to get it out into the world. One thing I learned about writing my first book, so that was in 2020, was that writing the book is one thing, getting it out into the world is a whole different ballgame. So really trying to not feel guilty about asking people for help, right? Connecting with my network and saying, I have this book coming out. I would love for
mm,
you to buy it. I would love for you to share about it. Whatever,
mm-hmm,
tell me, and then tell me how I can help you in return, right? So, but
mm-hmm.
something that's another thing. I can help, I can do anything for anybody else. But when
But
it
to
comes to me,
ask
I'm
for
like,
you,
yes, for me.
struggle.
Gosh, yeah. And it shouldn't be because every time I ask, people are like, oh, yeah, I'll be there. Oh,
No
yeah,
one
I'll do
really,
that,
people don't ever really say no. They don't. It's like, why didn't I think it was going to be okay? But we're
I
getting
know,
there.
but
We're
people
getting
want to
there.
help. So,
Yes.
yeah, so that's next on the horizon for me.
And you have to come back, of course, so we can talk about it and make sure I'll make sure when you put me on that list to know when it's out so I can get my copy and go through it because that's going to be absolutely a powerful book. We're still gonna flip the script. Before we ask you what success is, I have to tap in on something for you to share a little bit about how long you've been podcasting and how podcasting has impacted your work and your purpose in this world. Tell us about that.
So we've been podcasting for over 2 years. So I think I said earlier, I have a podcast with my 22-year-old daughter and her unshakable confidence. The goal is to have her get there quicker than I did, right? And being
Mhm.
able to talk about the struggles we have, being able to be real about what we're going through. So every other week it's just the two of us and then we have a guest the following episode. What's been really kind of life-changing for both of us is what I've learned from the guest, things that I probably wouldn't have thought about before, right? And hearing people's stories that are so impactful. And I mean, we've had so many guests that like I will never forget their stories because they really changed me and
Mhm.
understanding like the power of a story. And then for my
Mhm.
daughter, the ability to think on your feet, right? When you're on a podcast. So she's a second year law student, and
Whoa.
so she gets called all the time for Harknesses, which means like they ask a question, you've got to stand up and you've got to say it. And
Yes.
so she said, I feel so confident anytime I get called now because I'm so used to having to think on my feet. And one of the kids in her class said, I don't understand how like you stand there and it doesn't seem to phase you. She goes, oh, I have a podcast with my mom. And I was like,
Yes.
okay, that's amazing.
It's a powerful tool, and doing it with your daughter has to be even more exemplary. It has to be another dimension of it. But I don't think people understand how much, especially for speakers and individuals who have a message, I would say, who are message bearers, that this is a place to get so much practice. And there's no failure. There might be misfires, but you get to come back and do it again as often
Yes.
and for
Yeah.
as long as you want. It is your stage, so no one is looking at you like, why do you come on my stage and forget your lines? Like, I need people to be right here, perfect here. No, it's your stage, and you can pivot in the moment. You can pivot in the conversation. Like, look, I wanted to come on here and talk about this, but right now that is not cutting it for me. So here's the
Right.
truth. I'm really
Yeah.
sucking right now in life. I just am going through a lot of rough stuff, and I just realized that I have 100% opportunity to to show myself that I can really go through and do hard things and get uncomfortable, whatever that looks like. But the
Yeah.
vulnerability, learning how to be vulnerable and owning who you are, that's what I got from my podcasting. And I learned
Mm.
so much about myself on the podcast. And every guest brings at least one micro lesson that changes my life forever. And that is my
Yeah.
thing.
It's
Like, I
so
have
true.
nuggets. I have nuggets for everyone's journey that just puts like challenges me to become a better version of ourselves. So those who are listening, if you're thinking about it, definitely something you want to consider and see where it is, what it is for you. What is success for you, Simone, at this point after everything you've achieved?
Success is happiness.
Mm,
And it's not how much money I have in the bank. It's not the title. It's really at the end of the day, being able to hang out with my friends and my family and being in a relationship with my husband that we've grown so much over our 32 years of marriage that, that to me is what success is, right? That ability
mm-hmm.
to say like, I love where I'm at right now. I'm happy with the way I look. I don't worry about what anybody else thinks. I love my relationship with my husband. I love the relationship with my kids. So happiness to me is success.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Mindset bites to go. I'm going to step away from the camera and the microphone. It's just you 90 seconds, giving our listeners and viewers, I would encourage you to imagine a woman that's listening right now who has forgotten who she is. What is a mindset shift that she needs to walk away from you today? I'll step away and it's all you. Here we go.
I think so often we are so focused on the changes we have to make, right? We need the bigger car. We need more money in the bank. We need to dye our hair differently, whatever. We need the latest, greatest things. And we focus on that. If only we changed who we were, maybe we would fit in better. Maybe we would get that job. But what I would challenge you to think about is that you don't need to change who you are. You need to change the way you see yourself. And that starts with how you talk to yourself, how you talk about yourself. And think about that when you're thinking about all these changes that you have to make. New year, new year, new you. It's really about changing the way you see yourself.
I love it. Change the way you see yourself. And New Year's Day can always be the day that you choose, is what I tell people.
Yes.
So powerful.
Every day is New Year's Day. Every
Come
day is New Year's
on.
Day. Don't wait for January 1st.
Yes, you get to choose your own day when the
Yes.
year starts for you. And it's always, like you said, it's a new day. It's never going to have this day again in history. Wow. Where can our listeners and viewers stay connected with you, their favorite place, and also grab a copy of your book and connect with you for coaching and all the wonderful stuff that you have? And I think you had a freebie or something that you were able to share with them. You can share about that as
Yeah.
well.
So If you go to my website, SimoneKnego.com, you will find all kinds of resources there. SimoneKnego. Also, if you go to realconfidencebook.com, if you pre-order the book, you will get a couple of the chapters that you can download right away. You'll get a reverse interview with my daughter, a confidence playlist, a private community, a lot of fun things going on there. And you can find me on social media. Wherever you look, you'll find me. I'm the only Simone Knego in the world. So, benefit
That's
of marrying
awesome.
someone with a difficult last name. So, yeah, if you look, you will find me.
Which is so awesome. We're going to have all of her contact and info and connections to her socials, her website, and her book in the description wherever you're watching and listening to this episode. Family, that was Simone Knego. She is outstanding. I'm so happy to have her. And Simone, we have to have you and your daughter. I would just love to have a conversation. I know I'm going to come on your podcast next year. We have that set up to do. And then I'd just love to have you both and just have a rock out conversation with you all too about confidence and just seeing what it's looking like for her generation versus ours, and how looking at the evolution of womanhood and women's empowerment and voice and confidence and identity, how they're doing things. Some of the conversations you guys are doing, just a little bit of a hybrid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah. We would love that. Yeah.
You are proof that confidence is a choice and perspective is power tool that we can use. Ordinary moments are often the birthplace of extraordinary impact, Simone. So we thank you for your gift to the world. Also, we'll have the link, and I am putting her podcast in our pod roll with her permission, her unshakable confidence, her book, The Extraordinary, Unordinary You, and her confidence cocktail tools. That's the one that I have to take. When this episode comes out, I'm going to take that because I'm curious about what that is. Confidence cocktail. It sounds like a combination of power. Maybe we should have a conversation that's confidence and cocktail. Right.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Maybe we'll do that. We'll talk about it soon. Thank you so much for being with us, Simone, and sharing with such a vulnerability and, of course, unshakable confidence.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Disruptors, you heard it here. Connect with Simone, and she's going to be back on the podcast, I'm sure, of course, and can't wait for the episode I'll have with her. I am Dr. Alisa, your number one mindset disruptor. Keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do, become, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.